Paltrocast.
Joe, I'm going to say good morning, or is it good evening out by you right now?
It's actually good evening. It's good evening. It's just evening time, but yes, thank you very much.
Well, how's the day going aside from, talking with dirt sheet writers that ask you the same questions over and over and over again?
No, well, a wise person in our business once told me you should only worry when people don't want to talk to you. So I'm very excited to talk to you today.
Fair, likewise, thank you. And I have the pleasure of interviewing a lot of TNA talent. And I would say 1 in 3 TNA performers is a musician or a singer of some sort, but they don't have a number 4 charting single like you do. So, is there some resentment in the locker room about just how successful you are compared to the rest of the locker room? I'm thinking there is.
I would love to tell you there's some beef back and forth. Well, there is from AJ Francis. There will always be from AJ Francis.
Yeah.
Me eclipsing him in the charts is his literal worst nightmare that has come true. But other than that, I would say, generally speaking, the locker room has been super supportive of everything that's been going on, as have the fans. The last few months has just been an absolute whirlwind. It's it's interesting. I was a musician for 10 years, pretty much, full time until I started professional wrestling. And I kind of thought that the music dream was over. So to have, like you say, we were number 4 in the big top 40 in the UK, number 4 in the downloads chart, 6 in the sales chart. We got 1 on iTunes in the UK, 1 in Bahrain, we were 2 in Malta, we were 2 in, I think we were 3 in Ireland, we were 6 in the US on iTunes. It was quite a spectacle to behold. It started off as an unexpected surprise and it just grew and grew. But I'm delighted to be able to bring some perhaps different eyes to TNA wrestling through my music. So very happy to contribute on that basis.
As a person who's worked in the music industry, I know that when you have one successful charting single, a few things happen. One, publishing deals start being offered, or publishing people start sniffing around. Uh, Co-writers start popping up, going, "Hey, are you looking to write something like this again?" Have either of those things been happening for you, or is this just an isolated success?
I think my inbox is full right now for a variety of different opportunities, and so that's very exciting. There are, like, my social media has grown quite a bit. I think I just saw the opportunity and we decided to roll with it. And for example, my TikTok account has 4 times the followers it did a month ago. My Instagram has 3 times the followers it did a couple of months ago. Twitter's gone up by about 20,000 or something like that. So it's moved very fast. But I think the key is for me right now and where I'm at is it's the challenge is with all the excitement that's coming this way, you have to make sure that you are getting the repetitions in and being focused on the training that you have to do for wrestling. Because to be honest with you, pro wrestling, to do it at a high level that we do in TNA, it is very much an all or nothing pursuit. So for me, the key is making sure that I give my professional wrestling career and TNA everything that I can give, and have fun with the music at the same time.
Well, if you can take a compliment here, or you maxed out for the day because talking with people.
I never get tired of people putting me over. It's okay. I'll happily take compliments all day. So thank you.
You have a lot more pressure than just about any other wrestler I can think of, because the guy has to be in shape and all that. Okay, the guy has to have great ring entrances and related music and production because your videos have gone viral before, but not to this level. But you also travel regularly from Europe to the States for TNA. It's not like
Yeah.
you signed to TNA and then just kind of disappeared to the rest of the world. How do you manage to do that kind of an schedule existence, keep that up, knowing that you have to look good, you have to be of sound mind, have good production, and also travel a ton?
The travel is, I would say, the most difficult part. So, for example, I had 3 flights to get to work last week, and I had 3 flights to get home, and a lot of the time that can take a it can take 24 hours. It can sometimes take longer. But the way I look at it is it's just to do, there was something that Chael Sonnen said, which is if you're a professional athlete, you've got nothing to complain about. And that's kind of the spot that I feel that I'm in life right now. I am doing both of my dreams. I've been able to pursue every dream I've ever had, to be honest with you. So it's like, I've now done what I've done with music. I've been doing what I've been doing with professional wrestling. At 26, I started amateur wrestling and I won 2 national titles and went to the Commonwealth Games. So I've been fortunate enough to taste every dream I've ever had in at least some level. So there are so few human beings who get to do that. So I just feel incredibly blessed. And I think how I do it is with balance. When I come home, my life is very different to how it is on the road. When I get home, when I see my dog again for the first time, that's like one of the little joys in life that I try to really, savor and make the most of now. And I think, spending time with family and things like that, that becomes increasingly important and keeps you well balanced. So I think having that balance in life, I used to be very just all work, whereas now I've found it to be much better that when you are working, that you are working and you're doing nothing else and you're all in. And when it's time to spend time with family or I need to be present for my dog or something like that, I make sure that I can do that as well. But yeah, from my perspective, there's something else that there's someone I watch a lot of their content called Alex Hormozy, and he said that rather than tell people who you are, create an undeniable body of work to prove that you are who you say you are. So for me, it's just about that. That's what it's about. It's proving that I can do this on a daily basis. That's what keeps me grounded. You mentioned about the entrances. What I do is, like you say, I've had probably 70 or 80, maybe even 100 of these custom entrances that have all gone viral in some way, shape, or form. So I feel like I've proved that I can do that. And now I'm starting to prove other things, I'm starting to prove that I can have main event quality matches and I can be on the top of the bill on the show. I can close the show. I can send the fans home happy. These are new challenges that I'm having to prove.
The first time I had the pleasure of interviewing you, rather than recapping any part of the article that mattered, like Access TV having impact, TNA every week, the upcoming pay-per-view, all they talked about was how the Lonely Island and South Park inspired you and were big influences on you. Now, seeing the success that you've had in the visual medium and the song end and all that, does that mean that we could eventually see a script or a feature-oriented project from you?
Yeah, I think that that's completely possible. I think that, I think that people very much like the song as well as the character that they see. So I think that if it was the right opportunity, and I think, I make a lot of, my brother helps me, sometimes film things, and we talk over ideas a lot. And our only rule when it comes to creative stuff is if it makes us laugh, So it's like if it's entertaining, then it's up for discussion. I would never, make something for the sake of making it. If I thought, actually we could do a feature film or a TV episode or something like that, it would have to be because I had absolute confidence that we could deliver for the audience. And I think that approach is when my career started to change trajectory. It ceased to become about how it could serve me, and the mindset shifted to how good can we make this for the audience? What type of reaction do you think we'll get here? It became audience focused. And I think, with that in mind, I think it is a possibility.
The last thing I ask you about, because the whole world wants to speak to Joe Hendry. Why can't I say your name today? Joe Hendry. There's a restaurant in town here named John Henry, and I think that's what's on my mind.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay. In terms of your musical evolution, where did it start? Most people I know listen initially to top 40 radio. And then if they get serious about music, there's that one guiding band or artist that takes them. What was that for you in your case?
Weezer. It was Weezer. Yeah. So
I got to rudely interrupt here. Which Weezer album? Are you a blue album, a Pinkerton, a green album?
I could talk about this all day. So the green album got me into it, right? But the blue album is the best one. I will say I will not tolerate hate on the Green album. I've seen people talk smack about the Green album, but that is a great rock album. I stand by that. But yeah, the Green album got me into this, that kind of power chord type of sound and that way of. I think the way that Rivers writes songs, it's almost like if you follow the chords, it's super simple chord progressions. There's not a huge amount of dynamic in the songs. There is, there's the guitar solos are really simple melodies. So I Believe in Joe Hendry could quite easily be a Weezer song if it had different lyrics, I feel. So I feel like they were my teachers in songwriting.
Yet, ironically, it's Pinkerton that has the ECW reference on it.
It does indeed. It does indeed. Yeah. Yeah.
Have there been any overlaps in your career with Weezer or Weezer fans and wrestling?
Oh, I know people in wrestling who are, fans of Weezer and things like that. I will say I do think there's an overlap with what I do, and I think The Lonely Island are a reference point for sure. I think Tenacious D were a bigger influence than I perhaps even realized. When I was in a band when I was 15, and I remember being asked, "Well, what are your influences?" and I said Tenacious D, and I look back on it foolishly, thinking, "Well, that's you can't be a serious band if your influences are Tenacious D," but actually what I do now is probably most true to what I said when I was 15, and I went to see Tenacious D a few weeks back, and I was just blown away by it. It was the gig I needed to see. So I just thought it was just a genius presentation, and I thought, there's a lot of overlap with Tenacious D live and the best parts of wrestling. So I would say maybe not so much Weezer, but I definitely saw some wrestling influence at Tenacious D's concert.
The reason I was asking if there's Weezer overlap is we find out that some of our favorite bands have one or two members who are diehard wrestling fans who are at all the shows. You have Lars from Rancid. He won't stop going around wrestling, and Corgan, etc. And I didn't know if there was a secret Weezer fan wrestling thing happening.
I hope there is. I hope there is. Well, with the ECW reference, I mean, I need to think about it, but unfortunately, in the song, it's a bit of a casual reference. It just happens to be on the TV or whatever, rather than him actively watching wrestling. So I'll do some investigation.
And the last question before I let you go: this level of success that you're having, where it's yes, you've corrected me. It was #1, and I think you said Bahrain is somewhere in the world. I Believe in Joe Hendry was #1. Now,
I'm sorry. I think it was 1 in Malta and 2 in Bahrain. That's it. I gotta get it right.
you're top 5 everywhere. That's what I'm
Yeah,
learning.
there you go. I like that.
You have that success. You are featured on weekly television in a big way in wrestling. Is this exactly where you wanted to be? Or have we seen nothing yet because you're a Tony Robbins like person who has vision boards?
It's honestly I used to have all these big goals, and I want to do this and I want to do that, and I do have a few things that I would obviously love to achieve, but if I can just be completely honest, I just became totally process focused. So I didn't become focused on like I will win this belt by this date, or I will have this match by this date, or I will main event this many pay-per-views by this date. I used to have all that, and I don't anymore. All I have now is I will work as hard as I can. I will improve in every area. And then I break that down into, well, I need to go to the gym X amount of times. I need to lift this. This is what my diet needs to look like. This is what my life needs to look like. So it's really just reverse engineering it down to the process of, I guess, how an athlete, any athlete would approach a top level sport. And I've found that the success is coming without me having to force it, if you know what I mean. I'm just trying to get better in every area, and the success seems to be coming off the back of that.
Well, I'm going to say congratulations now, congratulations in advance, and really looking forward to what's to come from you, Mr. Joe Hendry.
Thank you, Darren. I appreciate that. Thank you for the support.
Paltrocast.